I'm not kidding. Every single time I do that to firework, it just sets the mood. It makes us feel like it is time to party. And it is. You guys, we have so much to go over. I can't even tell you. Your brain is going to hurt after this. I'm sorry. Get some Advil or Tylenol and just pre-medicate there because it is going to be just lots of information shoved into your cute heads. Now, who follows me on Instagram? That's good. The front row. Where you should be. No, everyone follow me right now. Get on Instagram, Mackenzie Deacons, okay? Because I want you to tag me in all of your confetti cannon party pictures because I need to see it from 18 different angles, okay? All right, so today is going to be the best day of your life because we're going to teach you how to use your camera in manual mode. Mackenzie Deacons, McKenzieDeakins. Love it. Okay, love it. All right, question, raise of hands, who has a camera that is not their phone? Good, because sometimes people come here and it's not a smartphone class. Oh, water, precious, thank you. So yeah, we're going to be talking about how to take pictures in manual mode. So is that right? We're good there. We're like, we got this nice camera, we never use it, we really want to learn how to use it, we don't know how to use it. So I'm going to teach you how to use it, okay? All right. First thing, let's get this party started. That was my Halloween costume last year. Love it. Okay, we're going to talk about the 4 C's to creating a perfect photo. The first C is composition. So composition is similar. Has anyone heard of like the rule of thirds? Yes, raise of hands, rule of thirds, we know what we're saying. Okay, so usually with composition and design, if you split something like an image or a piece of art or something like that into thirds, you want to keep that important information like eyes, individuals, in that line along where those lines intersect and stuff. And the reason is because when you look at a picture, and you'll start to notice this, when you see a picture and someone's like just splopped right in the middle, it's just not interesting, it's not engaging, you just kind of like swipe by and you don't double tap that picture. There's no double tapping. So as far as like composition, simplifying, experimenting, and putting things to the left or to the right. Paying attention to your backdrop. In this picture, this was taken on a pretty busy street in California, San Diego, and I wanted to simplify the image, so I just knelt down and got lower and looked up. Now, this isn't the time to take a family picture of like, family picture, that's like double chin land. So when you go low, you're doing like something more like they're grand, like they're looking away, like this picture, and then it's obviously shot in the sun, so the sky pops blue. I'm going to keep talking about all this stuff. I don't want to hurt your head too far yet, but okay, so rule of thirds, still talking about composition. So I have her weighted heavily on the side. You've probably noticed this in Instagram when people crop obviously in a square, like their pictures of like food or something is like slightly off-centered. It just looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. It looks more interesting. So just keep that in mind while the first part is like composing your picture. Same thing here. So a lot of times with the horizon lines, like if you're taking a picture of a sunset, people put their horizon lines right in the middle of the picture. Instead, try to experiment and put it like near the bottom or like at the top. So it just looks a little surprising. Oh, I didn't think I could do that, but you can because you're the master. Okay, this next slide's gonna go soon. Right? Okay, there it is. Okay, this is my friend. She's like such a good yoga person. Anyway, so when I was taking her picture, like before she hopped up into that pose, she was down. And so when she popped up, it like messed up my composition. So I kind of changed my crop. So the picture on the left is how it's shot, which isn't bad. You're like, that's fine. That's not a bad picture. It really isn't. And I like the leading line of like the road going out that way. So it was a hard picture for me to figure out where to crop. And really you could go either way. But what I like about it is that I'm putting like the individual on the left or to the right. It's not just like right in the middle. Now there are pictures that are very symmetrical, like someone's right in the middle, like holding a bouquet or something. But that's fine because the focal length again is the eyes. So you need to keep like the face up in like the top quadrant, right? So it's not necessarily their body, it's like where you want the eye to be pulled to. Okay, color, second C to our perfect photo recipe. Color is awesome. I love color. This is me with the pink hair. I used to have colorful hair. You probably saw that. You're like, what is this normal looking person talking to me? I thought I was having a unicorn haired person. I know, I wish I had unicorn hair still, I don't. Anyway, so as far as color, I love it. But then you also need to know when to take color out of an image. So simplifying an image, using an analogous color scheme really helps simplify and makes you look at the subject instead of like everything that's happening around it. So I love color. And I mean, like you can see here, like this is lots of color. The picture on the bottom left, this is like just a quick tip. When I was scheduling their photo shoot, they wanted to shoot at the sand dunes. And I said, okay, I want you to wear like a gorgeous, brightly colored evening gown or something gorgeous. And she showed me this red one and I'm like, perfect. I loved it. It popped, it made it like just really elegant. That picture on the left and the picture with the blue sky is taken in the exact same location, just turned different ways. So one's full, like lit with the full sun and one's lit with backlight. So you can see like what you can do even when you just manipulate yourself and move around your subject. So backlit is going to have like just a very washed out, it's beautiful. I love like golden hour with the sun coming through. It's nummy, but it does. It like makes the sky just drop out white. With the full sun shots, it will pop blue. And again, you're not going to have them standing in the picture and smiling and looking at it like this because they're like, hello, I can't see you. So instead, you're doing walking shots, looking at each other and laughing, candid stuff like that. There's just so much to learn. Just like, it's an hour, so I hope I'm like just not going off on too many tangents here. So anyway, so knowing when to use color and when not to. Like if you have someone that has like a purple shirt on, putting them next to the complementary color of like yellow would be great, or just something more neutral to help that color pop. Kind of just paying attention and being more deliberate and obvious with your choices. Because you are the director, you're a part of this. Now, as far as my color scheme on my Instagram goes, I like to keep my color scheme that I post to a specific color scheme, like I said. So blue and green, obviously blue sky and green grass, green trees, that's a part of the color scheme. But then also I add like pops of pink in there because pink is the best. And so I put pink in there. And then I also use a lot of my imagery on my Instagram as simplification pieces. So there are some pictures that are huge with the sky and like walking away. That's like one picture out of their 500 pictures, or they probably got like 200 pictures that they end up receiving at the end of the day. So I use a lot of these pictures, these big pictures, to help simplify my images on Instagram, because you're selling to people on Instagram in like groups of 21, not just one picture. So it's a little different that way, and something to keep in mind. As a general rule, just something to keep like make it easy to know when to post on or what to post on Instagram. I usually do like a high key image, so something that's lighter. And then if I see that I posted a light picture last, I then post a darker picture next. So it just kind of goes back and forth, light and dark, light and dark. It makes it look so that like it's more not like a real checkerboard, but like it makes it more aesthetically pleasing, and your eyes doesn't like, anyway, that's just some little trick. Okay, the next C is content. Does it tell a story? Obviously pictures like I'm pregnant or I'm engaged, something like that's gonna instantly get you lots of engagement. It's gonna be like, congratulations, like this. So the content is like 5 stars on that, right? So what our goal is to get all of these C's combined and to get that content up, then you're going to get a viral image and everyone's just gonna be like, I need you to take my family's pictures. I'll pay you $1 million because you're so freaking awesome. That is what our goal is, right? I've never been paid $1 million, just so anyone knows. Oh, I didn't even introduce myself, you guys. Wow, is it too late? Okay, I'll just quickly introduce myself. So my name is Mackenzie Deakins. I'm one of the top Nikon 100 photographers in the nation. So top 100, awesome. I'm also a Sigma ambassador, and if you know lenses at all, lenses are the lenses that go on your camera. So the brand Sigma is a great brand, and I'm their ambassador. I've been shooting weddings for 15 years. I've had the cover of Utah Valley Brides 6 times, and I've been featured in The Knot, Martha Stewart Weddings, and The Bridal Guide, like as national magazines. So I'm like totally legit, you guys. Like I know what I'm talking about. Yes. And I also mentor and do a lot of education. So I've been touring with Pinners Conference for like 3 years now. 4 years, I don't even know. Like I've been speaking all over I just spilled a little bit. Speaking all over the nation with Pinners Conference, like Georgia, everywhere. It's so much fun, and I get to meet the funnest people, and I mentor. My favorite part about my job is the mentoring new students. And I've taught people from the very beginning, like, this is this class, like, how do I shoot in manual mode? And then go in the next, and then the next. And now they're professional wedding photographers, and they're making money, and they're making more money than their husbands. And now they're like millionaires. No, they're not millionaires. You guys, if you thought that you were gonna be a millionaire being a photographer, you're not. Maybe, if you're good with your money. Anyway, tangent. Anyway, so that's a little bit about me. Ta-da, that's great. So content, does it tell a story? So when you have all of these 4 C's combined together, you get that great, great, gorgeous image. Like again, these pictures, that picture on the left took me freaking forever to take. I was on what is it called at Disneyland? Oh my goodness, I got so sick. I'm like looking through a camera, holding on, like with my, terrified I was gonna drop my camera, even though I had a strap on. Anyway, yeah, that one was hard. Totally worth it though. We went on that ride 3 times. And I vomited a little bit afterwards. Not too bad though. But these pictures, like, they're not like perfect, like aesthetically pleasing, like amazing, but they are, I just realized something. Usually I get like a lot of like laughs and smiles, but I can't see your faces. So it's like totally messing me up. I just realized that. I was like, why is no one like laughing? But it's because I can't hear you, and then I can't see your mouths moving bigger. So thank you for nodding. That's nice. Anyway, so this picture on the bottom, that was at that same location, that sand dunes down in central Utah. Gorgeous. You guys got to go out there. Sunset, stunning. Love it, love it, love it. This guy is like, hey, can I jump over my bride? It was like well after the sun had gone down. And I was like, you couldn't have told me it, like when the sun was up and I had the quality of light to have a fast shutter speed to stop that motion. This will all make sense later. But it was rough, guys. I had to like bust out all of my tricks to take that picture. But this was the one that Nikon chose to post on their page. Of all the pictures, like I've taken these gorgeous epic pictures, and this is the one, like the one with the groom jumping over, it was like comical. It's like on their feet, it's like these gorgeous landscapes from all these other photographers. And then there's like my comical bride and groom like jumping. I'm like, yes, thank you. I'm such a great photographer. Anyway, oh, there's a close-up of it. Okay, so content, like this picture is so sweet because it's like the groom and then the dad seeing the bride for the first time. Like these are such sweet, precious moments that like you just like that outweighs maybe like a lot of things. Okay, good. I can slow down a little bit. I just need to get through that because we got to talk about correct exposure. That is why you're here. This is what we're going to do. This is the technical part. The problem with being a photographer is that it's so heavy on the technical left brain side, but then it's such a huge creative process. And it's like you have to be both brained, and it's rough, guys. So the left brain stuff, I'm not great with. So the way that I teach it is in like a right brain way. So hopefully that will help you make sense. Okay, so when we use the word exposure, we're basically saying like if something's correctly exposed, underexposed, or overexposed. So that's what we're doing here. So the picture on the very left is underexposed. So it's too dark, right? We can all agree that like that's kind of too dark, okay? The picture over on the very right is overexposed. Like those highlights are they're hot, they're burnt, like there's just no information in that picture at all. The picture in the middle is correctly exposed. Now, give or take a little bit, like some people shoot a little dark, a little moodier, some people shoot a little brighter, and they don't give a dang about their highlights. So as far as this goes, this is like a kind of a guide, okay? Under, over. So when I say overexposed or underexposed, the exposure triangle, we'll talk about all of that. So the word exposure is really like when someone says like, when someone says like, I like the light in that, it's like, the light, what does that mean? Like the sun? But using the word exposure, like, so having a correctly exposed image, that's what we're going. I'm gonna say that 8 times so that it keeps getting in your head. Okay, next slide. We're gonna talk about the exposure triangle. There are 3 pieces to this exposure triangle to get correct exposure. Now, feel free, yes, take pictures of this slide whenever you need to. Love it, love it, love it. And if you have your camera out, you can get it out and we can talk about like what to change when. But if not, just keep taking pictures and we'll just keep going. First piece to this exposure triangle is something called ISO. Now, if you remember film, do we remember film? Do we even know what that was? It was like 35 millimeter film you'd put in your camera and like close it and you're like, meh. Okay, right? So film, so the sensitivity, so I see the S in it, so ISO, this is how I visualize it. I think of the word sensitivity. So I visualize on the back of my camera a piece of film being pulled like across the back of my camera. So that's the same way. It translated over into digital photography that way, where it has like on the back of your camera, you're imagining this invisible piece of film, and it's how sensitive it is to light. So we can control that number now to make it more sensitive or less sensitive. So it's similar to how film, right? So this picture might not be as easy to see from people that are far away, but I'll just explain it. Okay, the picture on the very left was shot at the number 200 ISO. Now there's a kind of a trick, a rule, like it's 200. So 200 for ISO, f2, and a 200th of a second for shutter speed. So 2. So those are kind of like the rhythm here to keep it like, kind of keep around those numbers. And I'll tell you why. With ISO, you want to start at 200 when you know you have a great quality of light. Like right now, it's dark, we're inside, we have awful lighting. I mean, it's not awful actually, it's pretty nice, it's bright. But if you're indoors, the quality of light isn't as strong as like the sun would be. So when you start a photo session like in the afternoon or in the day, you want to start at 200 because that's going to give you a great quality image. Now, once you start to, so pretend we're in here now, this low light scenario, I already know that the quality of light isn't like the sun here, so I'm going to change my ISO up to a higher number. My camera is the Nikon Z7. Thank you, Nikon, for giving me that camera. It has great low light ratings, so I know I can go up like crazy high, like to maybe 3200 without introducing a lot of noise or film grain. It's not film, but like it's kind of like its equivalent, like pixelation, that readiness in the shadows. So this picture over here on the very right, this is the eyeball of the middle picture. And this picture was shot at 1600, which is like kind of high for the camera I was shooting at the time. Like this is an older picture. Right now, if I shot with 1600, it'd be fine. But with this older camera, it started getting this like readiness or this like pebbly in the shadows. Has anyone noticed that? Like with if they have this like awful, yeah. Also that can happen if you shoot too dark and try to over edit and bring up the shadows. So that's when you'll also see that. So shooting as correctly in your camera as possible and shooting in RAW is the best step one. And then these three things, the ISO, f-stop, and shutter speed. I know it seems like, oh, it's fine, I don't need to know this. You need to know, even mirrorless cameras now are like crazy easy to use, but you need to understand what these pieces are doing. So ISO is that first one, okay? Films, like that film sensitivity on the back. Okay, each of these pieces to the exposure triangle has something called a brick wall. Like Wile E. Coyote is running along and he slams his whole body into this brick wall. So it's this limitation. So what I was talking about, that film or that noise, that's the limitation that you'll get if you go too high on your ISO. You'll start to introduce this film noise, okay? Sort of this readiness in the show. So we'll talk about each brick wall. Now, f-stop. F-stop is similar to your pupil in your eye. So imagine, and again, I'm artistic, so we're gonna visualize this. Imagine you're in the movie theater and your pupil is dilated really big because you wanna let all that light in because you're in this dark movie theater. And it's in the middle of the day in the summer and you forgot that it was middle of the day because everything's so dark. And you open up those doors and your pupil in your eyes just go, like vampire status, like the light, right? So what your pupils are doing is they're constricting and getting smaller, letting in less light, okay? Same thing here with how the f-stop and the aperture works. Now, f-stop has everything to do with your lens. If you don't have a good lens, you will not be able to get some good results here. So over on the very left, you can see it's really open big, okay? Over on the right, it's really small. Can you see that? Does that make sense? If you look at your camera and change your f-stop and look at the lens, you'll see this exact same thing, like open and then get smaller. With lenses that are really nice and expensive, well, no, I don't want to say expensive because they're not too expensive, but you can open up really big, letting in a lot of light, creating shallow depth of field or bokeh. So this is a secret power that f-stop has. Secret power time, okay? It can make an image blurry in the background, which is the reason you all bought your camera. It's like portrait mode on your iPhone, right? So it's that blurry yumminess in the background. So look at this picture. That picture on the left is shot at 1.8, so it's really open wide, and the picture shot on the right is f9. So I closed it down, letting in less light, and the secret power means that the background is now in focus as well. Okay, usually when I shoot with when I do portrait sessions, I always shoot the biggest, the widest open, because I love that blurriness in the background. Yummy, 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 that's what I love. But sometimes you want to like, she was like, let me take a picture with the thumb. I'm like, oh, I need to change my settings because it's all blurry in the background. Now, here's a mind warp. This is going to help us understand this a little bit better. When I shot that picture on the left, open up at f1.8, it's all big, and then I closed it down, what would happen? It gets darker, right? That picture is the same exposure because I adjusted another piece to the exposure triangle, okay? I changed my shutter speed. I made it slower. We'll talk about that next. Is this hurting? Are we okay? We've got this? Okay. So the brick wall here with f-stop is unfortunately has everything to do with your lens, like I said. So if you have a camera, okay, quick question, raise of hands. Who has the 50 millimeter, like 1.8 lens? Do you even know what that means? Raise your hand if you do. We got one, we got two, three, couple. Okay, I love it. So if you have that lens, that's money. That means that you are, you've got these great, crisp, bright, fun images, right? Okay, so these lenses are not very expensive. They're Nikon, Canon, Sony. They have them for like maybe $200 or less. You can go on KSL, buy them for cheap, cheap, cheap. Love it, used, love it, okay? For me, oh, I don't know what that says under there. Sorry. Okay, this specific lens, though, is my favorite lens. I love it. It's the 35 millimeter 1.4. I like get giddy talking about it. That's so stupid. Because I am a Sigma ambassador, the reason I'm a Sigma ambassador is because I freaking believe in the product. So like I was selling these stupid lenses before I was a Sigma ambassador because I love it. I went to Pictureline, local in Salt Lake, love Pictureline, right? Raise your hands, who knows what Pictureline is? Oh, thank heavens. Best camera store ever. I think I talk about that next. Oh, I don't. Oh crap, I don't know how to go back. Okay, anyway. 35 millimeter lens. It is priced a little bit more expensive, but Black Friday, guys, is coming, and they do like killer deals, like $300 off. So normally $900 lens, and I think they do like $650 for this lens. You're like, what? That's like more than I've ever spent on anything. But if you're going to spend any money, you're gonna go buy that lens, and it's gonna be like amazing. The 1.4 aperture, it's a low light lens. It's just gonna give you that yummy look that you want, I promise. And the best part is when you upgrade your camera, a fixed lens can also translate to any other camera bodies. This is your shutter speed, so it's just the scrolly thing. I need to figure out what the scientific term is for that, but it's just the scrolly thing, okay? And then to change your ISO, there's usually like a quick ISO button or somewhere. I think on this camera, there's actually like a button, yeah, up at the top. Oh wait, yeah, you click on that. And so to open up your, okay, there's an I. The I is how you get into your menu. And then you click on ISO and you can go higher. I never want it on auto because it always messes me up. In my camera, I want to be manual mode, always. I just want to be in control. Yeah, so you can see there. Oh, I went over Canon too. It's very similar. Just gonna like skip past it. Oh, it says the word situation was in there. And then also, I think that word says asses, or does it? I can't, sorry children, is that the correct way? For a long time it wasn't spelled right. And I was confused why everyone would start laughing. So yeah, it said asses the situation, whatever. Anyway, okay, so you're going to assess the situation. What is my light source? Is the light source natural or not? If it's natural like the sun, then you have great quality of light. If it's not like fluorescent, incandescent, any of these like indoor lights, that means it's not as strong. So that's how you'll start. So you'll start with your ISO, go really high if it's inside, and keep it low, 200 if you're outside. What is the subject? Do you want dramatic side light or even front light? A lot of times I'll do food photography or like a lot of portraiture of men, side lit, because it's very dramatic. It shows texture, it shows dimension, like pictures of like a bride's dress, showing detail and lace, that stuff like I'll shoot side lit so that you can see that detail. But for women, in like if you want to make sure that someone has like great looking skin, I make sure that they have like even front light. So if I'm by a window, I turn their face towards the window. Or if I'm outside, then I either shoot them fully backlit or wait until the sun goes down and then shoot that way with like the sun just evenly nice and lit. Change your camera settings, start with your ISO, then go to your f-stop, then compensate with your shutter speed. So someone will ask me like, oh, do you know what your settings were here? I can always tell you what my ISO and my f-stop would be, because I kind of know like, oh, if I was here, I would have started here. So if I was here inside, I would have started at 800. So I'm gonna guess 800. Then I would start if I put my lens on, I would start shooting maybe at like f2, because I like f2. Remember I told you like the 2 rule? And then the last piece is whatever the number has to be so that the picture is not underexposed. Now when I used to teach, I used to be very technical and teach you about the grayscale and how you should use your light meter. And now I'm like, who the H cares? Like, I don't care. So instead, I just take a picture and look on my camera. Or even with my mirrorless cameras, who has a mirrorless camera here? Do you know what a mirrorless camera is? Okay, so mirrorless cameras, you change your f-stop and it gets brighter and it gets darker, like as you're changing it. So it's not like changing it, take a picture, look at it, see if it's, and then change it again. It gets in real time. So it's kind of like the lazy man's way to have a camera. Honestly, if you're wanting to upgrade, I would go get a mirrorless camera because they're so easy to use. Okay, so take some test shots and look at them, change it. Okay, again, the 50 millimeter lens or the 35 1.8. I know Nikon has a 35 1.8, which is cheaper, but I just highly suggest if you're gonna spend money on a new lens, I would just suggest you get that Sigma lens. Sigma lenses are kind of like the Kirkland of lenses. So we all know Kirkland, right? Costco, love those macadamia nut clusters. So Kirkland brand, awesome. Same thing here, Sigma, okay? Pictureline. We are so lucky to live in an awesome state that has an amazing camera store. I've been to many camera stores all over the nation now. Pictureline, top-notch, best ever. They have a huge educational wing to their location, and I've spoken there a couple times, but it's awesome. Like they want to teach you, and that is where I even learned about the dang 35 millimeter lens or any of these lenses. Like I go in and you feel like you're not like put down because you're a woman. I know that sounds stupid, but like there are some times like at my other local camera store, I'm not gonna name names, but every time I go in, I feel like they just snub me a little bit. And I'm like, excuse me? And then like they don't care to know my name, but they sure know my husband's name. So I know. I don't even care if they know this, and I've told them this too. I'm like, hello? Anyway, I'm not talking about that. Pictureline doesn't do that. They're awesome. Pictureline is great. You go in and they are just incredibly helpful. I just really love Pictureline. Look at this store, you guys. It's like a candy store for photographers. Are you kidding me? Like, it's the best. And they're so close. They're just like right here in downtown. Okay, so that's kind of finishing up our exposure type, like that, figuring out exposure. Editing in Lightroom now. Let's talk about editing in Lightroom. Who knows Lightroom? Okay, few. If you don't know Lightroom, we gotta download it, okay? If you're in this class, it means you care. So the next step is downloading Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom onto your computer. I think like the subscription is like $10 a month. You can get like paired with Photoshop for like a little bit more. But it is a huge, powerful tool as a photographer to have. These are my Lightroom presets. I'm gonna talk a lot about them because oh yes, my lady in the stripey. Yes, I never really edit Photoshop. So if you're choosing, get Lightroom. Photoshop is for like head swaps or eye swaps, or like I do a lot of graphic design in there, like putting before and after words on pictures. Like I really don't use Photoshop as much as you would think. Lightroom is so powerful. It has a clone stamp, like you can clone stamp things. It corrects horizon lines. So yes, milady.
Suggest some places that would teach that kind of stuff.
So I teach it. So I do private mentoring lessons a lot. I mean, you can go like do some online courses online, but every time I have people come to me and they're like, oh, I did this online course, and it just like didn't make sense. It's because you need to like have like there's been one time when this woman like just like the dialogue box was like hidden and she just couldn't figure it out, and it was like it's almost like you need like a little touch of like personal one-on-one, like just to feel like you have someone and you don't feel judged. You're just like, I just don't get it. Like I mean, I've helped people like bring their files into their computer and like help file management. Like that's been like a whole hour once. So like we talk a lot about Lightroom and editing, but It's really easy. It's easier than you think it is. And I'm going to show you a couple things about Lightroom in here right now. With my Lightroom presets, I've named them based on the lighting scenario in which they were shot. So for example, there's one called window light, or one called full sun, or one called tungsten light. So now you're like, oh, how was this shot? Like next to the inside, tungsten light. Okay, hurry, click on that and it just changes it. It's magic. Oh, so this is a video. Look at my pretty hair. Oh, okay, let me see. Oh, you can't hear it. You guys can hear it. I think I still have it memorized. Let me see. What's the Lightroom preset? Turn the ordinary image into the extraordinary image. I've even noticed unicorns and mermaids jump out of my images after I've taken them. Now, these images are named after lighting scenario in which they were shot. For example, this one was shot using the window light preset. Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna explain it. So that was, so that was the before and the after. So like you're exposing for your highlights. So this one is the after, that's the before. It still looks great, but it just kind of like gives it more contrast, more oomph. It gives it more dimension. My 1962 presets are really fun. It almost makes a bad picture look better. Like, so if you're a bad photographer, it makes you a good photographer. I've literally had a couple photographers tell me that. They're like, it seems like your Lightroom presets make people look like better photographers than they really are. I'm like, see, it's magic. Okay, so let me show you some. Okay, so this is the one like on the 1962, and so it makes it look more a little bit matte. So there, I have 6 different preset packs. A lot of them, this one is like a more of a matte look, so it makes the image look more matte. So it takes the highlights, it keeps the highlights there, but then it brings up those shadows to match them so that it just looks more like soft and matte. So like these pictures, like, oh, they just look so dreamy and just like mystical a little bit. These pictures, like I just didn't think they looked very good in the original stage, so I put these on it and it just made them look so much better. Same thing here. These are called the Visco Girl ones. These are like kind of like that moody, kind of sepia tone, edgy, contrasty look that's happening right now. I use these probably 80% of the time, the Visco Girl ones. They are awesome. And like, again, it's just like, and click, and then it changes your picture into this amazing, amazing picture. Here are some other examples. Like these are just like at sunset, backlit. That picture on the left, I just don't think it would look as awesome. Like I know the before picture doesn't look as engaging and dramatic. It doesn't look at, like, you look at the people instead. It just simplifies the image. This is an example of a before and after. So the picture on the left is making sure I'm exposing for that highlight. So I'm not overexposing anything on the highlight side, and then it brings up the shadows to match where the highlights are. Same thing here, that highlight on the top of her head on the left, I matched it over here, but it brings more detail and interesting information in those shadows. Here's a full sun picture. So it looked good on the left, but then it looks awesome on the right. Like once you get it like popped, it's just, it really like sprinkles magic all over your pictures. It's the best. Here's another before and after. So this one was just a little bit too warm, so I adjusted it that way. This is the original preset pack, I think. This is the tungsten light one. So this picture, yellow, one click, and it just like cleans it up, brightens it up, cools it off. This one on the left, same thing, before picture, after, it just brings up those shadows, makes everything look pretty. So I also have presets that are based on newborn sessions. So the awful hospital lighting that's like so horrible and like ugly. Now that we can't have anyone take our pictures, we gotta take our own pictures when we have our babies. So now you can edit your own pictures from your phone. P.S., you can use these on your phone. They just have to sync with your desktop first, and then they automatically sync. So you upload them to your desktop, then they sync to your Lightroom mobile app, which is super rad. I also Light and Lovely. So if you like more of a soft, like sherbet palette, like love it. So pretty. Brings up those shadows even more and keeps those highlights very soft and delicate there. These Visco Girl ones, you can see the difference. Like they're nice and dark and like just dramatic and yummy. The Home Sweet Home, if you're selling your house, they even have presets built for like indoor interior images. And I have a whole like thing on YouTube talking about what lens to use, because that is a whole beast in itself. Okay, how can you make them mine? Okay, right now for pinners, you can buy them at the Mackenzie bag. Mackenzie Deacons, you can go to Mackenzie Deacons, which is my website, or click on the Mackenzie bag. Okay, yeah, this is the original preset pack. So they're normally $35 slash. See how it's slashed down? Sale for $28, slash. See that? If you use code PINNERS30, you guys can have 30% off any of these preset packs. So they're only $20 for 25 presets. But that's not where I want to stop, because there's so many presets. This was like in 2017, I only had these presets. Now I have 6 packs. And the cool thing is I just added those other 2, the Fresh 48 baby ones and the Home Sweet Home ones, and I didn't raise the price at all. So I just basically like added those into the bundle. So for all preset packs, they're normally $141 for all of them. And there's slash. They're on sale right now for $59. That is insane. There are 140 presets, I think, and they're all named like window light, backlit light, tungsten light, sparkle lights inside. Like, there's even like a silhouette one, some cool black and white ones, some like funny, funky ones. And slash, with your preset, or with the Pinners code, it's only $41.50. So $41.50 for 100, it says 125. I think it's more like 140. But anyway, so $41. So use code. I want everyone to get your phones out and take a picture of this right now. This is the website. This is the code. I want to say like you need to like have a session with me, but honestly, I need you just to download these presets and you're like, oh, this is how I need to be a photographer. Just like fixes your whole life. It like makes you a better photographer at the end. Okay, quick little plug for Mod Marketing. I just started a new marketing company, social media marketing. So if you know any businesses that need social media help, I would love to be involved. With COVID, it kind of like made my wedding photography go into the toilet. So I started a new business and it's been going really well so far. So I do management and then I also do content creation. So I take pictures and stuff for products and businesses. So anyway, Mod Marketing, love it. Okay, again, private mentoring lessons, they're $195 an hour. I don't really ever do discounts on this because it's just like, I usually go a little bit over an hour and I give you so much information. Like I tell you all the things not to do, and then I save you so much time and money on making bad purchases and doing wrong things with advertising and helping you with social media help and doing portfolio critiques. I can go through anything and everything. I just feel like I want to be a part of your photography journey. So like, let me just be your friend, right? Okay, couple of my favorite quotes before we leave. When faced with self-doubt, just shoot more. It's the least expensive way to do marketing. It's the healthiest thing you can do for your mind, and it's the best thing you can do to continue becoming a better photographer. I know it's gonna be like a hard, rough path like going forward because it's rough. It's like hard to like figure out how to use your camera, but that's why you're here. You took the first step to continue becoming a better photographer and a better person overall, because you're like doing something that's difficult, so you're becoming a better person. But when you are stuck, like comparing yourself with maybe someone else, I want you just to take that energy and push it towards something better. So go out and use that anger and that jealousy and push it towards something good. So go out and do some photo shoots and make something for you that's going to make you look awesome and you love it and it inspires yourself. So another one, don't miss out on something that could be great just because it also could be difficult, kind of that same thing. Just don't do just something because it's just too hard. Don't Netflix and chill and just like let your life go by. You gotta like stand up and keep going. Sigma, thank you so much for sponsoring me today, and also Pictureline, they have sponsored me as well. Honestly, those two, like I can't even tell you how much they've meant to me. I just love Sigma and I love Pictureline. Yeah, and make sure you stay in touch. I'd love to get to know you guys. I answer every single one of my direct messages myself. It's not someone else like an assistant. So if you have questions, I'd love to like answer them just directly. Even if you like have a question about like, where did you get your shoes? I'm like, well, I've had these for 100 years and they're the best. No. Anyway, but yeah, I'd love to stay in touch and be a part of your photography journey. So that's it. Thank you so much. Good night. Yes.